Okay, hi everyone. It looks like we have a nice big crowd here all ready and eager to learn. I love seeing that. It's very exciting. I love seeing the chats. Hi everyone. Coast to coast, we have people joining us. So a few little background things. First of all, if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat. As I can see, everyone seems to be familiar with the chat, so I'm not going to explain how to use that. If you have any issues with the audio or the visual of this webinar, just push the F5 screen or refresh your screen. It sometimes helps also to close other windows. If you have multiple windows and tabs open, it's going to slow down what you're seeing here. So just close your other tabs and windows, and then you can focus 100% on this presentation. I hope this will take less than an hour. I'm thinking it'll be about 45 minutes. And let's get started. Okay, so we are here today. First of all, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Stephanie Gelman, and I am the coordinator of Roy LePage's Learning Services. And I want to welcome you for this webinar, Building Your Tech Toolkit, Organize, Plan, and Share Your Time with Google Calendar. So what I want to talk about today is how to use Google Calendar to organize, plan, and share your time easily and efficiently. So before I start, I'm just going to tell you a few things that I love about Google Calendar and some of my favorites. So it is fully integrated with your Gmail, making it simple to add appointments to your calendar based on conversations in your emails with a few simple clicks. Calendar also has this great system of reminders and task lists that you can create to help you plan your time and manage your to-dos. Creating events and sending invites is simple, and all the details you put into events can include things like an address, which will then link to Google Maps, making it really easy for everyone attending to know where they're going. And if you have geomapping enabled on your smartphone, you'll even get a reminder telling you when you need to leave your current location if you want to make it to your event on time. Also, you're not only limited to one calendar. You can make as many calendars as you would like. Now, you may be wondering, why do you want to do that? Well, you can make individual calendars for projects you're working on. You can make a calendar with a marketing timeline for each listing you have. You can have a calendar for appointments, whatever you want. Your only limit is your imagination. You can share calendars with clients and your coworkers, facilitating collaboration with colleagues and transparency of actions with your clients. You can even dedicate specific time slots for appointments and then get a shareable link that people can use to book appointments with you online with a simple click of the mouse. And then when you're done with your calendar, you have the option to delete it or transfer the ownership to someone else. So because of these wonderful and easy to use features, we love Google Calendar, and I'm very excited to show you how to use this great tool. So before we get right into Google Calendar, I just want to remind you that we have our lovely customer care team here to help you with Roy LePage tools and services, including your Google account. When this webinar is over, I'd really like you to get into your Google Calendar and practice some of what we have discussed. If you don't know your Google account login information, remember that your RLP network username and password are Google accounts as well. So if you have a tough time logging in, feel free to contact customer care for help accessing your account. Here's an overview of what I will cover in this webinar today. I'm also going to talk about how you can add calendar to your Gmail and to your phone, how to print your calendar, and how to search within it. As I present, feel free to type questions into the chat box as they come to you. And if I do not answer them while I'm presenting, I will get to the questions at the end. So enough of this talking, I'm going to get right started. And because this one's going to be very interactive, this webinar is actually going to just be all full of demonstrations. So the first thing I need to do is get to Calendar. Now, there's a few different ways that you can access Calendar, and it's always at your fingertips. You can type calendar.google.com into the address bar. You can access it from the Google Apps section in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, from your Gmail, and from your smartphone. So I have my calendar opened up, and here's an example of a calendar. So first thing I'm going to show you is how easy it is to create an event, edit the details, and invite people. So the first things first, I'm just going to click on this red button here, and it is create. So I will give it a name. And then all these details here. So I'm going to select the time. Let's say it's tomorrow. And what I can do also with times is there's really neat things. You can do an all-day event. I like doing all-day events for when I have a day off work. That way it's in my calendar and I'd never forget that I've booked a day off. You can do a repeat event. So for example, if you're one of these offices that has a sales meeting every Monday at 2 p.m., you can repeat every Tuesday and you can say it never ends. Or if it does have an end date, you can put that in there too. So I'm gonna click done on this guy. So now I have my weekly event. Here is where you're gonna put in your location. So for example, here I am at 39 Winford Drive, and because of Google Maps and everything integrated, it's gonna start auto-populating. Now this is really neat because now if anyone that I invite goes on this, it's gonna link right up to Google Maps, making it very easy for everybody to figure out how to get there. The next thing you're gonna see in a line here is a thing called a video call. If you've ever used Hangouts with your Google account, that is what this is for. So you can use events in your Google Calendar not just for live in-person events, you can also do it for video calls, for scheduling video calls. I'm not going to get into the technical details of how to do video calls with Hangouts. That's a whole other subject for another day. But for people who know how to use them, you can schedule them easily here. And you don't have to do anything. You can just do for where. You can say video call, see link. And this is just making a link automatically. So when I invite somebody, all they have to do is click on that. Okay. So I have my where, I have my when. Now I'm going to have my description so everyone knows what I'm inviting them to. If I want, I can add an attachment. So for example, if I'm inviting a colleague to work with me to collaborate on something and there's a document that we're working on together, I can put that in as an attachment. Or maybe I'm inviting somebody to an open house. I can attach a feature sheet to my invite. You can color code your events. Now, the color coding is only going to be visible to you. The people that you invite aren't going to see the color coding, so it's really only for your organizational purposes, depending on how organized you'd like to be. Next, you're going to see notifications. So notifications are pop-up reminders that you have an event. So you're going to click add a notification. The default is going to be set at 10 minutes, but you can change it. So it'll be 10 minutes before your event. If you want to change it to 30 minutes, you can do that. If you want to add a secondary notification that's, maybe 2 minutes before your event, you can do that. Your notifications will show up as a little pop-up message on your screen, no matter what you're doing on your screen, or even if you're not in your calendar, if you're just surfing on your Facebook or doing anything on your email, you will get this little pop-up notification saying, oh, you have that video call with Stephanie coming up in 30 minutes. And then you'll get another one, it's coming up in 2 minutes. Let's see. So we have our notifications set. Now, our other things, what are we going to do? Down here, we have this section that says show me as. So when I have something booked in my calendar, other people can actually view my calendar. And I'll talk about that later. But right now, I just want to let you know that when I'm booking an event in my own calendar, I can decide if I want other people, when they look at it, to see me as busy or available. Generally, I'm just going to say busy, but that's okay. And then we're going to decide on our calendar visibility. So this is all still going with this one event. I'm just walking through the different steps on what you do when you're setting up an event and what is available. So as you see at the very bottom, there's the visibility, and that is calendar default, public or private. So if you leave your event visibility as default, your events will just show you as busy. And if you select them as public, people will see all your event details. And there are reasons why you may want to have your event visibility as public. I'm seeing some people saying that the screen is not readable and fuzzy. And yes, Susan, they are often out of focus for some reason. Unfortunately, this is just the technology that we have. But if you maximize the screen, you should be able to see it good enough. And I promise you, once you go over this and get into your own calendar, it's going to make a lot more sense, even if you can't see all the teeny tiny writing in here. Hearing what I'm saying is going to help out. Okay. So once I have all my event details in here, now I'm going to add an event or add a guest. So it's really easy. All I have to do is put in their email. So I'm going to email Learning Services, and I'm going to add them to this event. And here I'm going to see what kind of permissions my guests have. My guests, I can allow them to modify the event. I can allow them to invite others, and I can allow them to see the guest lists. And these I can select and unselect as desired. Now, once I'm all finished, I'm happy, I've added my guests, I have all my details. I'm going to click Save. And now it's asking me if I'd like to send an invitation to my guest. And yes, I would definitely like to send an invitation to the guest. Send. So now I have sent the invitation to Learning Services, and in just a moment, I'm going to go into the Learning Services email and I'll show you what the invitation looks like when somebody sends you one. So let me pop in here and see if I've received it. Yes. And here I go. I have received a new invitation from Stephanie Gelman. So I'm going to click on that. And here it is. It's saying, would you like to come to the example event? And then I will say, yes. How easy was that? Okay. Another neat thing about when you get an email about an event like a flight, a concert, or restaurant reservation is that it's added to your calendar automatically, or you're given the option to add it with a click. So let me show you a little example of how easy it is to add something with just a quick click based on a little email conversation. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going into my email. And Learning Services sent me an email 14 minutes ago saying, see you at 2 p.m. on Friday. Now, if I hover over here, you're going to see a little thing that pops up and it says add to calendar. So that's me hovering over the 2 p.m., also hovering over Friday. And I can click on here and I can say add to calendar. So just like that, I added a little tiny event to my calendar. Now, if I want, I can add a time and I can click yes, and that's going straight into my calendar. Lovely. If I had something already scheduled on Friday, it would have popped up in here. So that's a really neat way to quickly add something into your calendar just based on a simple email conversation. Learning Services said, I'll see you at 2 p.m. on Friday, and I clicked and threw it in my calendar. Okay, so to make sure that you have allowed Google Calendar to auto add events, look in Calendar Settings. So we're going to go into our calendar. The settings is this little gearbox up here in the upper right corner. And I'm going to click on Settings. And then we are going to go down Events from Gmail. So it's midway down the page. And we are going to check Add Automatically. Now this way, whenever you get things like that, you can auto add events to your Google Calendar straight from your Gmail. And you always want to click Save. Okay. Another neat thing that you can do for most other events is you can easily add them to your Google Calendar with just a few clicks. So I'll show you how to do it with Eventbrite so that every time you plan on attending another webinar or an in-person training with Learning Services, you can quickly add that to your calendar too. So here I have our upcoming Sales Success webinar in February. And if I want to add this to my calendar, all I have to do is click here under the date and time and say Add to Calendar. Now here it's going to give me a few options. So if you're still working with Outlook or if you have Apple or Yahoo Calendar, you can add that too, but we're talking about Google here. So I'm going to click on the Google Calendar and then that's going to open my calendar here and it's going to give me all the details and then I click Save. So now this is going to be in my calendar and I won't forget to attend it. Super. Okay, close this, get back over here. So now I'm going to go back into my calendar and I'm going to show you something called reminders. So reminders are another neat feature in Google Calendar and they're kind of like mini events. What you do is you can enter a brief description, a date and a time, and you can choose if you'd like the reminder to repeat yourself or if you only need it one time. Okay, so everybody has reminders available to them. And all you have to do to make one is you're going to click on a date and you have the option of either making an event or making a reminder. So if I'd like to make a reminder for Monday, February 13th, saying tomorrow is Valentine's Day, get a present for hubby, I can do that. Now, I don't necessarily need it to be an all-day reminder. I can say, you know what, I'm going to remind myself to do this at 4 p.m. before I leave the office. And I'm going to click Create. So now you'll see this popped up there. So what's going to happen is that at 4 o'clock on February 13th, I'll get a little pop-up notice on my screen, and it's going to tell me, hey, remember to buy your husband a present for Valentine's Day. So the neat thing about the reminders is once you do them, they don't leave your screen. They just show as something that is crossed off. And it's nice to have that because in case you need to look at it again. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, well, what's the difference between reminders and tasks? Well, tasks are more like a to-do list. And if you're like me, you love having to-do lists. So you can choose to have reminders or tasks. It's your preference. You can use both if you'd like, but only one is going to display at a time and they do not sync with each other. They are two different things. So right now, as you see here on the left, I have reminders. But if I'd like to show my tasks, I'm going to go and click on the right just beside reminders, and there'll be a thing that says switch to tasks. So now I'm going to select that. And now you'll see on my right-hand side, and I do apologize, I know it's not the biggest or the easiest to see, but I'm sure you'll understand. On this side, I have some tasks here. So I have my home tasks. These are my home chores. I'm going to clean the gutters, wax the floors, and clean my windows. I also have some work tasks because I have made a work list. So let me show you how to add and how to make a task list. So first of all, you're going to go, there's a little hamburger menu down at the bottom. You're going to open it up and you can say new list. So now I'm going to create a new list. I'm going to go, okay, here's my new list. Now I can start adding tasks. Task 1, etc., etc. As I finish my tasks, I can click on them and they will display as crossed off. You can also reorder your tasks if you'd like. And you can also make, well, as I said, and you can make multiple tasks. So I have work tasks, some of which have been checked off, some of which haven't. But my favorite thing about tasks is I can access them from my Gmail. So this is a really cool thing. So I'm going to go in my Gmail here, and I'm going to show you how I can access my tasks from my Gmail. So first of all, I am going to push, now remember this one, listen very carefully. I'm going to push G, and then I'm going to push K. And you see, this little pop-up window just opened up on the right-hand side of my Gmail with my task list. So I don't even need to open up another window. It's right there. I can add things, I can reorder things, I can check stuff off. I have my tasks in here. So this is super. Another cool thing that I can do with tasks while I'm in my Gmail is I can make a task about a specific email. So as you see here, I have this email open. If I want to make a task about this related email, you have to open your email, and then you push Shift plus T. And look at that. It popped up right there. So I didn't even have to type that again. It just saved me time. So this is great. So if you have people that are sending you emails saying, oh, hey, by the way, Judy, did you get that marketing piece ready yet? And you go, oh, no, I didn't. I need to put that on my task list. You don't even need to write it. All you do is push Shift plus T, and you can create a task about that related email. Okay. So maybe you went in here and you tried it and you said, hey, Stephanie, I don't know about this. This isn't working yet. You need to make sure that while in your Gmail, you have shortcuts enabled. So to enable shortcuts in your Gmail, go to your general settings. That's this little gearbox. Going to go on settings. And then it's on this first page here. And it's right midway here, keyboard shortcuts. Make sure you have keyboard shortcuts on. Now you'll be able to access your tasks. I'm going to repeat it again because I find this one so important. To access your tasks within your Gmail, push G, then K. To create a task about a related email, push Shift, then T. All right. Let's get back into the calendar. So I talked before, I briefly mentioned stuff about multiple calendars, and some of you might be scratching your head wondering, what is this all about? So multiple calendars I love because they help me organize my time. So why would you want to have multiple calendars? Well, one of the things I recommend is that you make a calendar for public events to share with your clients. So fill it with open houses, info nights, fundraisers, related community info, whatever you think it's important. And so what you'll see here is this is my events calendar that I've made for my pretend real estate company. And so what I've included in here is every Wednesday I do a Facebook Live. And if people want to click on it and they're curious, they can click on it and they're going to be able to see that they can access my Facebook Live. I also have other things in here, such as my local farmers market every Friday. I have some open house listings, and then I also have some first-time home buyers info sessions. So whatever you think is important, you throw it into your calendar. Another great idea for calendars is team calendars to track project due dates. So I'm going to show you one that was shared with me actually, and here we go. I clicked on it to display it, and here I have these different due dates that one of my colleagues shared with me. So now I have no excuse for missing due dates for things because she has shared with me the due dates with a shared calendar, and it's incorporated into mine. So you might be wondering to yourself, well, how do I get these other calendars in here? Well, You may or may not know this, but a lovely person named Mike Robel is my boss, and I have a lot of meetings with him. If I want to have his calendar displaying on mine so I know how to make easily schedule a meeting with him, I'm just going to start typing his name in here. And look at that. Here it pops up. Everyone on Royal LePage is here. If you want to add my calendar to yours, just because you're that curious about what I'm doing, you can do the same thing. So I'm going to add him in here. And as you can see, he is color coded as gray. If I want to change the color, I can do that. I can make him pink, whatever. And you'll see here, these are all the times that he is busy. So I know that on those days, at those times, I can't schedule a meeting with him. He's already booked. But I can see he's available most Thursdays. So Thursday is a good day for me to book a meeting with him. And you can add as many of your colleagues, coworkers as you would like. And then if you decide it's getting a little busy looking and you don't want to see it anymore, all you have to do is just click over it again, and that's going to hide it. But it's still in there, so now I can add it if I want. I have all these different people's calendars. So as you can see, there's a lot of people that I work with that share their calendars with me. So it makes it a little busy looking, but I can add and remove as much as I want. Okay. Another neat thing that I suggest you do is if you see here other calendars, click on here and say browse interesting calendars. These are ones that Google has available. So I have in mine holidays in Canada. If you want to add any of these, let's say you want to add in holidays in Cameroon, or if you want to add the holidays in camera, you're just going to click on subscribe. If you want to remove it from your calendar, you're going to click on unsubscribe. But I find it really easy because sometimes I forget when the holidays are coming up. You can even add in sports ones. So if you're a big sports fan, you love your hockey, look at that. You can add in all these different NHL things. And then if you click on more, you're going to see a few other choices as available. Hebrew calendar, phases of the moon, etc., etc. So it's pretty handy to add in these extra calendars if these are important things to you. I'm going to go back to my calendar, and I just realized I didn't even show you. I'm talking about making these other calendars. I didn't show you how I made another calendar. So if you've never done anything in here, when you come in and you see my calendars, you're only going to see your name. That is your calendar. But to make a new one, like this events one that I made, you're going to click here, and then you're going to click create new calendar. So I'm just going to call it a new example, if I can spell it properly. Okay, so here I am. I'm making my new calendar. So remember when I said to you guys, it's probably a good idea that you make a calendar that you can share on your website. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to do it like this. You're going to create new calendar. You're going to give it a nice name, a good description. Make sure your time zone is accurate. It should be good because usually Google knows where you are, but just double check. Now, if you're going to make this one that you're going to share with people, make sure you click share this calendar with others and then make this calendar public. That way, all your clients will be able to see all event details. That's the point of making this calendar, is you want them to see what's going on. And now you're going to click create calendar. It's just warning me, yes, everybody will be able to see it. Yes, I want them to see it. This is my business calendar. So now you're going to see it's just going to take a second. I might need to refresh. There we go. There's my new example calendar. So now if I want to make a new event, and I want to place it in that example calendar, I'm going to see here I have a drop-down box, and I can choose which calendar it goes into. And there we are. So this is great. If you can take anything out of this, I think this is one of the most important ones for you to do. Make a calendar of events and share it with people. Now, let me give you an example of what this looks like in the real world, because I made one and I put it on my Client Click website. So here's my my test site, and here's my events page that I have on my website. And what I've done is, here's everything that I'm sharing with the public with my calendar. So I have my Facebook Lives. If my clients want to join me, Facebook Live, look at that. They can click on it. And this is where I talk about trends in Toronto's real estate for an hour. Who doesn't want to join me for that? So they can copy the link, go to it. If they have a Google Calendar, they can even copy it to their own calendar and save it. Same with, here I have my open house and all the details, et cetera, et cetera. So this is really cool. And all I had to do to put this on my site was, when I'm in my calendar, and this is my events calendar that I shared, I'm going to click on this. I'm going to go on calendar settings. And here it says embed this calendar. So all you have to do is you copy this fancy little computer code, and then you paste it into the paragraph or whatever section in your website. If you don't manage your own website, you can just email this code to whoever it is that makes your website, and they can throw it in there. And the really cool thing is once it's in there, it's going to be constantly syncing with whatever you do on your calendar. So you really don't need to fuss with it on your website anymore. It's in there. So one of the things that I think is great about having my calendar on my website like this, number one, it's not just about me. So for example, I have in here the local farmers market, because it shows that I'm part of the community and that I know stuff about what's going on in my community, and I can offer that knowledge to my clients. Okay. Now up here on my events page, I also have this thing telling people that they can book an appointment with me using Google Calendar. So this is a feature called appointment slots. You can create a dedicated time that you're available for appointments with your clients. When you create appointment slots, you get a link you can share, and then you can add this link to your website, your email signature, or you can just email it to people. So here's my appointments section, and this is what my clients are going to see. So when they click here, they'll see that I'm available for appointments from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if they want to make an appointment with me, and I have half-hour slots, they can click on it. They can add in details. They can add in text if they want, and they can click save. And what it will happen was they will see it on their Google Calendar, and I will see it on my calendar who has booked an appointment with me. Now, people can only do this if they have Google Calendars, if they have a Google account. So that's why I put it on here. If you don't have Google Calendar, you can book an appointment with me another way. So this is something that's going to be appealing to your clients that you have that are maybe tech savvy type people, the younger kids and stuff like that. The older generation might not be so much into it, so it's important to give them alternate choices as well. But it makes you look pretty fancy when people can book their own appointments online. We know these young people, they just want to do everything themselves. They don't even want to talk to you. They just want to book the appointment fast. Okay, great. So let me show you how to do that. Okay. So I'm going back into my calendar. I'm going to show you how to make appointment slots. So first of all, you have to make sure that you are in week view or day view. Right now, I'm looking at my calendar and I am in month view, and it's not going to work. So I'm just going to click up here in the upper right and click on week. Okay. Now I am going to click on anywhere, really, and you're going to see I have the choice for an event or an appointment slot. So I'm going to click on appointment slots, and this is how I make them. So what you're going to do is You want to put in as much details as possible, because if you just give people an appointment slot link that has no details, it's going to be confusing. So we're going to give it a title. I'm going to decide which calendar it's going on. I can offer a single appointment slot if I want to just do it as a one-off, or if I want to offer it in slots of 30 minutes. If I want to add more details, I'm going to click here, Edit Details, and this is going to open it up much larger. So this is where I'm going to put in more descriptions, such as location, um, what kind of appointment I offer. Am I here to talk about first-time home buying? Am I here to talk about selling? What do I offer? Oh, where is actually going to be the location. And like any of the other Google Maps and Google Calendars, this is going to integrate with the maps. So if you put in an actual address, it's going to be geolocating. We have your time blocks. So you double check your time blocks that you're offering for appointment slots. And then this is the link that you will share with people. Okay. So it may seem a little weird right now, but play with it and you'll get it. And it's actually really, really easy to use, and it's kind of fun. So that is how we make appointment slots. Okay, let me go back. I'm going to discard that one. Going back into my calendar. Now, I'm going to talk about transferring calendars and events. So you might want to transfer ownership of a calendar to someone else. Maybe you've made a calendar for marketing events for a listing that a colleague has now taken over. Or maybe your assistant set up a calendar for you, and now it's time for them to transfer the ownership of that calendar to you. Or perhaps your listing is sold and you'd like to give it to your client to remind them of everything you did for them in the process. What you're going to do is you're going to choose the calendar you want to share from your calendars on the left, and then click on Share this calendar. So I have my new example one. I'm going to click, and then I'm going to click Share this calendar. Okay. Now we enter the person's email and choose how much you want to permit them to do. So here I'm going to decide who I'm going to share it with. I'm going to share it with Learning Services. So here we can see by default, it allowed them to see all the event details. But if I click this drop-down box, you're going to see a few different options for sharing a calendar with someone. I can allow them to make changes and manage sharing, make changes only, see event details, or see only free or busy, which will hide all the details. This one's very important for you to pay attention to and ensure that you select the most appropriate one. If you are giving up this calendar and you don't need it anymore, then you can be safe to say, make changes and manage sharing. Or if you're sharing this with a colleague that you trust a lot, you need to remember that if you choose make changes and manage sharing, that person will have a co-ownership of the calendar, and if they want, they can remove you from it. So be very careful if you choose this setting. If you don't want to give them that much control, pick one of the other levels of permission. If I decide, you know what, I don't want to share this calendar with Learning Services anymore, then I'm just going to click the little garbage can here, and that will remove them from the person that I'm sharing this with. So once you decide to share the calendar with this with Learning Services or whoever, you're going to click Save. After sharing the calendar, the recipient will receive an email notification, and they will automatically become owner of it. They don't even need to say yes or no. They will just become the owner. Okay. Yes, I know I haven't saved. Okay. Now, what if I want to change the owner of just an event? Let's say my first time home buyer session that I host at my office. I just found out I can't do it, but you know what? Learning services can do it for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select more actions up here, and I'm going to click on change the owner. Now my new owner, I'm going to start typing in their email. I can add a personalized message if I'd like, or I can just use the form message that comes with it. And then I click change owner. Now, the one thing about the events, changing ownership of events, is they will not become the owner of the event until they accept the requests. So you need to keep that in mind. This is different than when you share the calendar. If you share a calendar with someone and give them all the rights to it, they don't need to say yes, they just get it. But when it comes to being owner of an event, because it has more responsibility, I suppose, Google Calendar has decided that they need to accept the request, and until then, it will still be owned by you. So that is how we change ownership of an event. Some more super tricks that you may or may not have known about it. Google Calendar. You can have it in a little window in your Gmail. So I showed you a few neat little Gmail tricks with the tasks. I'm going to get back in my Gmail, and I am going to show you, see right here, I don't know if you have this in yours, but I have a little view of my calendar right here down at the bottom, which is fabulous because now I can just look at a little glance and see what I have coming up. So to enable the Google Calendar in your Gmail, you're going to go into your settings, which I'm already in here, which is good. I'm going to click on Labs, and you will see the Google Calendar gadget, and you will click Enable and then Save. You might have to refresh your screen to get it to pop up, but then it's going to be good to go. And then you'll have this little Google Calendar here that you can look at a glance. If it's bothering me and I don't want to see it right now, I can click on these little dots that symbolize my gadgets, and that's going to hide it. I can click back over here and I can open it up. So this is fabulous because I can look at it at a glance. I see what's coming up. I had this webinar in my calendar, and if I want to see more details about it, I'm going to click on it. It's going to open it up in here, and it's going to tell me what's going on. And if I really want to see it in full calendar view, I can click more details, and it's going to open up the big Eventbrite or the big calendar event. And that was just from my Gmail. Okay, so once again, to enable that, you're going to go in your Gmail settings, you're going to go to Labs and Google Calendar Gadget. Now, if you want to add it to your phone, I believe, now I'm going to have to double check because now I'm doubting myself, but yes, okay, so in the description for this video, I did add the apps that you can use to download Google Calendar onto your phone. So you should be able to just go in there and click on it to get it to download onto your phone. And this is really handy. I love having calendar on my phone. I add stuff in it every time I remember something. If you're having a really tough time with getting Google Calendar on your phone, you know, I suggest you just get bring it to the store and get them to do it, because usually that's what they're good for there. If you want to get text message reminders for events, even if you're offline, you're going to go into settings. Sorry, I'm just going to get back in here so I actually can show you. So you're going to go into your settings. That's your gears settings. And you're going to go mobile setup. Okay. And then you're going to go enable mobile notifications. Okay. So this one, I haven't added a phone number to it. So this one is not allowing me to. But on my personal Gmail, I have enabled all the mobile setup and the verifications, and I love it. So I saw Ron put an email about getting having trouble with Google Calendar on the phone to update on your computer and vice versa. So there's probably something going on that's not syncing right. So get in here try it on a computer first. Check out your mobile setup and make sure that everything is synced and everything's in there right. And then also on the calendar app on your phone, there's going to be a settings where it's going to have the email address that's associated with it, and double check that that's the correct email address, because if it's the correct email address, it should sync automatically. Couple more little things, and then I'm really going to get into questions. So really cool thing, like pretty much everything Google, you can search. So if I want to search, you can search by keywords. So I can search for webinars, and I'm going to see right here all my different webinars. Oh my goodness, I do so many webinars. That's all I do. So you can search by anything. Maybe if you have a lot of events with open houses and you're having a hard time keeping track of them, or you can search by address. You can search by pretty much anything. You just type it into your box up here, and it's going to show everything that you have coming up, and it's even going to show you what you have in the past. Apparently I have 92. Oh my. Okay. And then you can print your calendar. Now, you might be thinking, why would I want to print it? We are in such a digital age. What is going on here? But, you might be one of these people that just wants to hold on to a piece of paper and check things off and write things in your piece of paper. Or you might have a client that's not super into computers, but you want to share a calendar with them. So what you're going to do is in the top right corner, beside settings, there's a little thing that says more. And you're going to click on that, and you can click print. And you can change the orientation from landscape to portrait. You can also change the view to day, to week, to month, depending on what you need printed. You can hide the weekends if you want. And you can also change the font size to bigger or smaller in print preview. So this is really handy to have. Like I said, especially if you're sharing it with clients that are not really tech savvy, but you want them to be aware of what is going on. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick recap, and then I'm going to get to all the questions. So what did we talk about in, wow, 47 minutes, and it went by so fast. So I showed you guys how to create and modify events. I showed you how to send invitations and how to RSVP to invites. I showed you auto ads and easy ads. I want you to remember to always add my learning services events. Whenever you get an Eventbrite for any of our webinars or trainings, add that to your calendar. It's just a click. We talked about reminders and tasks and how they're different and how you can use both, but not simultaneously. I showed you how you can access your tasks from your Gmail. I talked pretty extensively about multiple calendars, how you can add in other people's calendars. You have calendars available to you from Gmail as well, or from Google. And also how you can make different calendars, ones that you can share with the public, for example. And then I showed you how to share. We talked about embedding calendars to your website. I also showed you appointment slots and how you can make those. And we talked about transferring ownerships of calendars or events. And then just recently, I just mentioned searching and printing. So that's a lot. So now it's just going to get me a second. I'm going to start at the beginning and get down into questions and see if there are ones that still need to be answered. Okay. Okay, so I have a question here from Andrea. Says, when you create an event and invite people, do they have to use Google Calendar too? Would it be useful to make my showings an event and send to my client and attach the listings we are going to view? So Andrea, no, people do not need to have a Google Calendar to respond to your invitation. They can respond yes, no, maybe. It doesn't matter what email they're using. They can still receive your invite and the response will be logged into your Google Calendar. The only difference is if they had a Google Calendar, it would go into theirs. But no, they can, it doesn't matter what they're using. Anyone can receive an invitation from your Google Calendar. And would it be useful to make my showings an event and send to my client and attach the listings? Yeah, for sure. It's always useful to do stuff like that. I mean, more info for them, the better. Okay. Okay, I think I answered, I think I answered the stuff about tasks and reminders. Andrew, I see you have a question there about tasks and reminders. Let me know if, if that didn't help. I covered that pretty extensively in the presentation. So, if there's other questions you have about tasks and reminders, feel free to type them in now. Okay. How do they see my calendar for the public? So let me get back in the calendar here and I'll go over the sharing settings. So here's my events calendar, and this is the one that I share with people. So this is the one that I have on my website. So I click on here and I'm gonna go to calendar settings. Actually, I could have gone straight to share this calendar. And this is where you make sure if this is one that you want other people to see, make this calendar public and allow them to see all event details. And then that way everyone's going to see everything. Now, my calendar that I use, I have a different calendar. This is not public. I have shared this calendar only with everybody in Royal LePage, and they can't see my event details. All they can see is if I'm free or I'm busy, because they don't need to know the details of what I'm doing. All people need to know is if I'm free or busy. So once again, if you want to have your calendar public and you want people to see all the details, you're going to click Make this calendar public, see all event details. If you don't want them to see details, you're going to have see only, free, or busy. I have a question from Mary Anna. Can you merge your own two different Google calendars into one? No, Mary, I don't believe you can. I have never heard of merging calendars into one, but I am going to write that down and I will ask around and see if anybody has other opinions on that, because I have never heard about merging. And if I get an answer that tells me different, if there's a way to merge the two Google calendars into one, I will send you an email, Mariana. Okay? But yeah, I've never heard of that, so I don't believe you can merge them. And Ron Kelly had a question about the getting his Google Calendar on his phone to update on his computers. Okay, so let's go over that little section once again, because yeah, that one's a great one and that's an important one. So let me just consult my notes because I want to make sure that I'm doing everything right. Okay. So what you're going to do in your calendar, So first of all, do this while you're on the computer in calendar.google.com, and you're going to go into your settings. So your gear settings, there's an area up here that says mobile setup. So make sure you have a phone number that is gone in here. You're going to have to select your carriers. You have to say what network you're with. You're probably going to have to do the verification code. It's going to ask all that stuff for you because of security. And that's another great thing I need to remind everybody about is our Google accounts are very secure. They're secure for us and for our clients. Okay. So you're going to make sure, Ron, that you have your phone number in here, and you should be okay. Now here it's telling you, you can sync it. So, I think what you need to do, Ron, is get in here, get your mobile set up, make sure your phone number is in there, make sure that you've allowed it to sync. It's possible that you've just not allowed it to sync. You don't have mobile setup on your calendar settings. That doesn't make sense. You should have mobile setup. So I know in the link or in the description of this video, I put in a link for Google Calendar help from the Google website, and I'm going to suggest that you go in there and search around because I don't know, you should have mobile set up. I don't know why you wouldn't. And yeah, so I wish I could help you more with that, Ron, but either there might be something weird going on with your phone that you just might want to bring it into the store and ask them why you don't. Because number one, you should have mobile set up on the computer and it should be easily downloadable on your phone. Yeah. Okay. Adele made a great point. If you can't merge the two calendars, you can at least just display them at the same time so you don't double book yourself. So that's a really, really good point. Because I do that. You can, yeah, exactly. Like, for example, you see here how I have my calendars. And then I have all these other little calendars. So if I want to display all of them, I can throw them all in here and then I make sure that I don't double book myself. Yeah. Yeah, Ron, I'm sorry. I wish I could help you. I don't know why yours doesn't say mobile setup. It should say mobile setup. They all say mobile setup. I'm just going over here in this one. This one has mobile setup. So it really doesn't make sense. Yeah. Because we all have the same. Okay, so Adele, are you saying, how do you do that? How do I add all these ones? So as I talked before, when I talked about adding in calendars, if I want to add in one of my coworkers' calendars, so I can see, let's see if I can, look, Ron, I can add in your calendar. Look at that. I can add in anyone's, and then I can see what Ron has booked, right? So it looks like, it looks like Ron's not using his calendar much, but that's okay. I don't want to put you on the spot. So all you got to do is you type in someone's names to add them to your calendar. I can type in anyone that is in Roy LePage. And look at this. Here's my reminder. I set this reminder up at the beginning in case anyone was wondering what a reminder looks like. Here it is. I didn't think we'd still be here. It's almost 3 o'clock. So I'm going to click OK. And there we go. My reminder just went off. Beautiful. Okay. Adele, did that answer your question about how to add in the multiple calendars? I hope so. Okay, let's see. I have another question from Allie. When you set up a scheduled appointment with reminders and you add someone to that event, Why don't the same reminders pop up for them? Well, because Ellie, they can control what reminders they would like to receive. Now, if when you've added someone to the event, people will by default have a reminder that goes off 10 minutes before the event. But they're not going to have the same reminders that you've set for yours if you have changed yours from default, because that just goes on yours. Um, and yes, Adele, that's right. You just click on them to see them all at once. And then if you want them to go away, you just unclick and that's going to remove it. And Sally, how long can you save all the info? You mean the info on your Google Calendar? I think it saves forever. I don't think Google ever loses anything. It'll probably be in there long after I'm gone. Um, I don't know, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure it's just going to save it all forever. Okay, so I'm not sure. Do we have more questions, people? I'm having so much fun. You guys are great. This, well, it's 3 o'clock, so I'm going to sign off soon, but I do want to remind you that you can email me anytime. Okay, so you can email me. I'm going to put in. Okay, so I'm putting in my email there. I'm just going to answer Allie's question, and then let's see, Allie, is there any way around that if the recipient doesn't want to have set the same reminders again? Well, it's up to the recipient to decide what reminders they want. So as I said before, any event is just going to come with a default, a 10-minute reminder. And if the recipient doesn't want to have a reminder, then they can just, well, here, I'll go into one of my events and I'll tell you, so here's a webinar that I have that I'm going to be doing. And if I don't want a notification on it, I can just click on this little X beside my notification, and then I won't receive the pop-up thing. So if you're working with somebody maybe, or if you yourself just don't like to have these reminder notifications, then you just go into the event and click on the X. But when you're inviting people, if they don't go into the event details on their own calendar, no, you can't remove the notification for them. It doesn't work like that. So I hope that helps. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to say goodbye now, but I really want you guys to get into your calendar, start playing with this stuff. Maybe, yes, and this is available for replay right now. If you want to rewatch it immediately, you can. You can rewatch it anytime on the exact same link that you're watching now. We will also put it up on the RLP network. And I have also put in an email. You will receive an email through Eventbrite if you signed up through Eventbrite that will contain this link in case, you walk away from your computer and you lose the link. Now, don't worry, I'm going to send you an email. I have it scheduled to go out at 3:30. You're going to get the link for this. You can rewatch this. You can pause it, fast forward, rewind. And I recommend that you get into your calendar, you dedicate some time, get in there, play with it, try all these things that I mentioned. And then, like I said, if you have any questions while you're doing this stuff, send me an email, learningservices@royallepage.ca. Now, I will let you know a few things I cannot do for you. I cannot reset your password. I do not have the ability to do that. Customer care can reset your password if you don't know what your password is. And then if you're having problems with things syncing on your phone, unfortunately, I am not a mobile expert. All I know is the basics of setting up. So if you're having lots of issues with your phone and mobile view on your phone and that kind of thing, I say just bring it into the store and ask someone to set it up for you. and then take it from there. I know how to use, but I'm not much of a setup person. So I hope everyone enjoyed this. I hope you got some useful info, and I look forward to talking to you guys again in about another month at our next webinar. Have a lovely day, everybody.